fine. I'm fine. I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be just fine.
Hey guys, what's up? It's BigJackFilms here, and welcome to the final Rosario Vampire vlog. I know last week I did talk about the last 4 episodes of the show that technically should have been the end, but because we've got 1 more week left in October and I knocked those out, I figured I'd do something a little extra this week in terms of the final vlog and essentially discuss my overall thoughts on the show, where I think the future of the franchise is going to go, and kind of what I would do, essentially, with it. So, I have literally spent the last 2 years watching both seasons of Rosario Vampire, and I got them all on Blu-ray, thank you to Funimation, on Amazon.com. I'll put a link down below if you guys want to buy the show. This is actually an excellent Blu-ray to watch the entire show on. And it took me 10 years to essentially finish, because I watched all of Season 1, but in the early days, it took me forever to find Season 2. And one of the people I have to give a very big thanks to is my buddy Thomas Lovekio, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, who introduced me to the show back in like 2009, 2010 when I was at a Comic-Con. And I essentially, or was it 2010? I honestly can't remember. He got me onto the show. I watched it, and I really enjoyed it, the first season. I felt it had a great story, great characters, an amazing set of female characters, especially for an anime, but it also had a great premise. It was basically, in my eyes, Back to the Future with a little bit of Tim Burton, a little bit of the classic Universal monsters. In fact, I feel honestly that this is a franchise that I think Universal could definitely have some leeway with, because it does have the classic monster formula, it has the Back to the Future-esque stuff in it, it's got all the makings for a potential series that they could do in terms of films or TV or whatever. So, the first season, I know I'm juggling this thing around, the first season is definitely a really good solid set of episodes. It's only 13 episodes per season. And then when we get to Season 2 overall, I felt it was both an upgrade and a downgrade. The upgrade being the animation. The animation is some of Season 2's biggest strong points. It actually updates everything from the first season and goes directly into this one. And it blew me away how much better the animation got. In fact, this entire Blu-ray of both seasons, they've cleaned it up, and it looks fantastic. The show has never looked better. I've been really getting more into Blu-ray. I know Blu-ray is over 10 years old, but I'm starting to get more and more into it now, and I really enjoyed the quality of all the stuff. It's a lot brighter, it's a lot sharper. The quality's great. But when it comes to Season 2 in terms of the downgrade, it's more so how it ended, because they almost blew it. If it wasn't for a few set of really great episodes in Season 2, the finale would have just sucked, and it would have just ruined the whole thing. Because the finale, looking back on it like a week later, it is pretty bad. It's really rushed, it's really forced, it's got a lot of cliches I don't like, especially in animated content. And I felt it kind of overall almost ruined the entire second season, but not quite. There were some great elements in the finale that I really enjoyed. So, I mean, is it a show that I'd probably go back to? Yeah, I'd actually would love to go back to this and watch it on occasion when I'm bored or something, because I do like these characters. I do like this world. I love the setting of yokai, and I love how this was essentially more of my first R-rated anime, in a way. I mean, even while watching this, I was also watching the likes of High School DxD, which is a much more racy show, but it's still a pretty solid series, and maybe someday I'll talk about that. I don't know if it'll be monetized on this channel, but you never know. But I overall, with Rosario Vampire, I loved it. It is one of my favorite animes. Is it in my top 5? No. Is it in my top 10? Maybe. But it is a decent show, and, you know, total of 26 episodes, you can knock it out in a day. It's a pretty decent series, and I have to, again, a big thank you to Funimation for the Blu-ray and Amazon for shipping it to me, as well as Thomas for introducing me to the show and, letting me hear from the voice actors and stuff. There are a lot of great talents behind the show, and I think it's pretty good. So overall, as a show as a whole, I'm going to give it a good 8 out of 10. It's got some problems for sure, but they're problems I can definitely ignore, especially all the fan service stuff. It really sometimes does get in the way of the story, but they do have some comedy with it that does make it work. So, yeah, 8 out of 10. Worth seeking out, guys. If you're a fan of, kind of more risque anime, if you're more of a fan of monster-themed animes and chicks and shit, this shit's for you. This is a really good show, and I had a good time finally getting through it all the way through. It was a really good time to watch. Now, when it comes to that, because of the way it ends, we need to talk about the future of this franchise. Now, the anime is based on a very popular manga, and actually it's a short manga series that is a little longer than the anime, but does so much more in terms of characters, and actually the manga is a totally different beast. It's darker, it's not as fan service themed, it more focuses on the characters, the dark theming of monsters. Characters die left and right. In fact, I don't think half the time it's kind of like, I think from what I've heard, because I haven't read the manga, is that it goes towards more Deathly Hallows Part 1, where we're not even at the school half the time. We're actually out in the middle of this kind of quest, this little journey with all these characters, and all these characters get killed off. Like, they die in pretty brutal, harsh ways. I've heard a lot of things about the manga where it's extremely dark, which raises the question regarding the anime. Should they do a third season? This is a question that fans have been asking for years. They want CAPU3. They want Season 3. They want to see them fully adapt the manga. And I agree with that. I think, honestly, adapting the manga a lot more in terms of the anime and just maybe padding it out with a new villain or new characters is definitely the right decision to go for, because there is an establishment for both the manga and the anime that could please both fans. Now, it also is very much a yes or no question if they should do a Season 3. If they did a Season 3, it's totally like 10 years later now since the show started. Beyond that, almost 15 years. Like, it started in 2008, so 20th anniversary in a couple of years. Holy shit, how time flies. But to the point, the thing is, it's just taken so long for a third season to happen, and I think it's mostly due to the fact that the anime definitely butchered the original manga. It didn't go for what the story truly was. It was more focused on the fan service and the sexuality of the show and all that jazz, and it did kind of ruin the image of it. Now, personally, I would like to see a third season of this particular anime, but a lot of people are petitioning for a reboot, meaning like they want to do a reboot sort of on kin to the Sailor Moon Crystal series that is a straight up retelling of the Sailor Moon anime, but it's more akin to the manga. It's more shorter, it's more abrupt, it's more, here's the basic story, we're not going to pad it out with 200 episodes with PSAs and everything. They want something much more closer to the manga. And honestly, if they did that, I wouldn't have a problem with it. My only complaint is that, this first anime really kind of brought in a new generation of fans to enjoy these characters and read the manga. So I think I'm more on the side of they should do a third season and have a continuation with these characters who are a little bit older, a lot more adult, and they go on this bigger quest, and we see these characters die, and we see a lot more darker imageries. We don't go necessarily for a lot of the sensual stuff. We actually go for the darkness and the more evils of monsters in the world, which they did hint at in the show, but they didn't really explore in the anime. Like, they didn't really explore it much. So I think a third season, CAPU3 is definitely a given, and if that's the case, you definitely got to get the whole cast back. Not just the Japanese language, the original language, but you have to get the Funimation cast back, because I want to see them reprise these roles again, because they have so much more potential in what you could do with the franchise. So whether it be a reboot, whether it be a Season 3, I'm all for it. I really want to see what they do next, because this does have potential if done right, and I don't know why it's been in development hell or rumors or talks about a third season, or whether or not they ever were going to do a third season, because it felt like they wrapped everything up pretty damn quickly at the end of that last episode. It's really hard to tell. So on my end, would I like to see a third season? Yeah, absolutely. I would love that. Would I like to see a reboot? I'm very 50-50 on. If they want to stick closer to the manga, for sure. If not, season 3 all the way. But one person I did want to talk to about this is arguably a person who's a bigger fan of this than I am. Again, Thomas Lufkio, Herald of Vortis on YouTube. He does a lot of voices for our show, a lot of villainous voices. And I sat down with him recently on SteamYard and asked him what he would like to see in a 3rd season, and this is what he had to say. Take a look. Welcome to the final vlog, man. I know you've been wanting to get on these for a while.
Seriously, thank you for having me, bro.
I wanted to kind of get an input from an outside source because you're the one who kind of introduced me to the show, like, what, 10 years ago? Like, what do you want to see from the franchise in total in terms of just reboots or a follow-up to the last 2 seasons? Like, what on your end would you like to see?
I would actually want to see a little bit more of Mocha's character more. Episode 12 was probably one of my favorite episodes. It's actually what got me into liking Mocha because you want to know more about it other than just kicking ass.
Yeah, like, exactly. You want to see more of this character and, like, because now that she's kind of, like, because we only see her in brief moments, we don't get to know too much about her other than her flashbacks, along with just the time she does kick ass. We get to know more of outer Mocha than we do inner. So I agree. Like, there definitely has to be more of that. And I even say, like, I don't know much about the manga. I don't know if you've ever read it.
Yeah, like Mocha's more like a reverse Jekyll Hyde, where Hyde is actually the real form and Jekyll is the inner form.
One of the things I actually really did like in, I think it was like the 3rd last episode of the show was the whole idea that the 2 Mochas split into 2 separate beings. And that's a subject that I knew was coming. I just didn't know how they were going to execute it. And I think whatever they do next, they should definitely expand that.
At the end of the original manga, the inner and the outer Mocha, believe it or not, they actually merge as one.
Yeah, like a Dragon Ball Z fusion.
Kind of like that, yeah. Then maybe they should do a reboot. Capu2 would be nice, but I think there's few times where we gotta face the inevitable that there might not be one.
The franchise does have potential. It does have its fans. Would you like to see the original Funimation cast come back if they did a reboot or whatever?
Oh, hell yeah.
What to do with other characters? Like, who do you have them ending up being with? Would you want to see them go in a more darker direction if they did either do a follow-up or a reboot? Like, would you want to see it kind of break away from the formula of the previous 2 seasons and then go for something extremely dark?
If we're going to go through more serious arcs, then they should. Throughout this whole show, it's been nothing but a marathon of panty shots.
You want more of an action series. So kind of how they did Harry Potter later on. Like, they kind of went more for the action stuff.
Oh, yeah,
for sure.
Like Yokai Academy versus Hogwarts. Like,
oh, I'd watch that. Is there anything, like, if you were on the writing table, if they told you, we're doing CAPU3, Thomas, we want to have you involved, are there any things you would want to add on your end, whether it be a new character or whether it be like something to kind of add more to the story? Like, on your end, what would you contribute to a potential 3rd season?
There is one person that I want. It's kind of an OC character I made. It's like a Van Helsing / Frankenstein character. And I have like a little story where his father was killed by another vampire, which he mistakens for Mocha. Apparently, it's pretty much in a corporation called the Helsing Corps, or it's pretty much like a monster hunting division run by some guy who secretly turns out to be a vampire himself.
Now, so he tricks the son to go take out the Akashia bloodline, I guess.
Yeah.
The question is, would the vampire be Dracula?
Oh, shit, I did not think of that.
Because that's the thing. Like, I want to see Dracula in the show at some point. I think that's got to happen. You know, you got to put Dracula in.
Yeah, I was thinking of, like, kind of like a skinny guy with glasses, but that does seem like a good idea. But, like, the Helsing Corps, it's like a police division, but more like, think of it as, like, monster, Nazis to the monsters, but, like, you know, like the Helsing Corps versus all of yokai.
Yeah, because I think now that, like, the sort of border was kind of cracked open, there is a potential leak to get into the monster world.
Have the Mummy as, like, one of the spies, too.
And then Rick O'Connell shows up, and you're like, what the fuck? Anyway, Thomas, thank you so much for coming in on this final vlog. I wanted to bring you on board, and it was just fun to kind of I wanted to get an inside source on your end of what you think the franchise, where it should go. And you brought out some great ideas. And, you know, obviously, you're one of the best, probably the biggest Rosario Vampire fan I know.
Well, seriously though, thanks for having me. This means so much to me.
So yeah, he has a lot to say of what he wants for a third season and or a reboot or what the future of the franchise holds, and there is a lot to go to. And guys, go check out his channel, link down below. Wonderful voice actor. If you need sort of a dark, evil entity in your show, he's the guy to go to, so go check him out. Now, on my end, what would I do with this show? Well, I have kind of a bit of an announcement that I've been kind of holding back on for a while, and this is something I'm working on my spare time that I'm keeping a little bit under the radar, but I figured I'd announce it now, is I am doing a fan fiction on this series. Now, what is this fan fiction about? Because you're thinking, oh my god, BigJackFilms writes fan fiction. Well, for those who are very, know me from like my old days of making YouTube videos, I did have a fan fiction page. I just have not written anything in over a decade. I just haven't had time. I haven't had really any desire to go back to it. I had ideas, I had concepts, but they were never fully realized, and they were just on my spare time, and I just lost interest because I was so busy with my show and my review and stuff. But now that I've sort of established this more reviewer-verse kind of franchise fatigue of my series, where there is a story being involved, there are these compilations being released, I want to kind of expand on that and take a little hint from both the Jurassic Park franchise right now, as well as mostly Star Wars, where some stuff that we can't explain in the story, we want to explain in more novelizations for people to read, for the audiences to read. So I am currently writing a Rosario Vampire fanfiction story that actually does take place in the continuity of my show. Now, if you want to know sort of where the continuity is, it takes place in between seasons 3 and 4 of my show, so after the Kong King of the Apes episode and before the Hope Rises episode. In fact, if you watch those two episodes back to back, you can kind of bridge the gap of what happens in between. And that's something I do want to focus on, is I want to start telling these side stories that kind of expand sort of the entire storyline of the series that I just don't have time for. So when will this novelization sort of thing be released? When it's done. I'm really taking my time on it. I want it to be a really special first impression in terms of writing the material. But one thing I will be doing is I want to do a trailer, essentially, like a visual trailer for you guys to get an idea of what the book is going to be. And then at the very end, I'll put, now available on fanfiction.net. And that's the best part about writing this fanfiction, is that it is going to be free. You don't have to pay for it. It's going to be free on fanfiction.net, but in order to access it, you'll have to go to the YouTube video and check that out. So when that trailer's out, you'll know the novel is out. So definitely, that will be down the pipeline as soon as I can. I'm taking my time writing on it. I'll say that I've done essentially sort of the introduction chapter, I've done the prologue, and I'm kind of right now writing the first chapter. Now, how many chapters this is going to be? I'm going to gamble maybe about, in terms of like anime rules of what the anime is, about 13 chapters, and each chapter is pretty much the length of a half-hour episode of the show. So look forward to that down the line, guys. It's just something I kind of been wanting to do for a while, is do these sort of expansion stories that take place within the series itself, but also bridge in the continuity of the shows and worlds I go to. Now, do not worry, I do not retcon anything from these two series. I actually have this take place in sort of the areas that nobody goes to. Most fanfiction writers fall under the trap of, oh, we want to put it in between this timeline, and oh, it could contradict things and everything, but I don't do that. I usually try to set things either after the events or in between, where there's a huge gap of time that takes place. So that's sort of my plan going forward. Again, I can't say when this is going to be done. It's just going to be done when it's done, and when it's done, I'll put out a trailer before it's published online. So that's really about it, guys, for the Rosario Vampire vlogs. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I had a really good time making these. They were a bit of a hassle here and there, but they overall came out pretty damn great, and I actually like this new format I did for Season 2, because it allowed me to show clips from the episodes I'm talking about, add a few jokes in post-production that I really enjoyed, and you guys seem to get a kick out of, and I want to incorporate that into more of these vlogs. So What's for the future of vlogs on Mondays? We're gonna take a little bit of a break for about a week or two, but we're gonna come back with the Inuyasha vlogs. And why is that? We need to finish up Season 4. And once we finish Season 4, vlogs are gonna take a bit of a break until 2022, because right now I have to focus on the last 2 episodes of my show, of Season 6, and they are going to be very big episodes. I cannot wait to show you guys what we have in store. I can't say what we're doing, but you'll see in time. And as well, thank you so much for watching Mummy Month. It was just a good time to put together. And yeah, you guys got one more little bonus episode coming up this week. So, and by the way, I am filming this before I go to Fan Expo. This will air after Fan Expo on the Monday, where I'm just going to be physically exhausted. That's why I'm going to get at now. So, of course, let me know your thoughts on Rosario Vampire on the Rosario Vampire vlogs that we did, as well as the show itself, in the comments section below. Let me know your thoughts if you're a fan, and if what you would like to see with a Season 3, or with a reboot, or whatever you would like to see, just let us know. We always enjoy these. And, of course, support our Patreon. Just $1 more gets you access to all of our content, as well as other special features. I've been plugging myself in for minutes on end, but I'm going to cut it here. Thank you all so much for watching Rosario Vampire vlogs, and until the next video, guys, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys later. This is BigJackFilms signing off, saying Happy Halloween, and I can clearly say, with 100% certainty, I can't say certainty right, that I am officially graduating from Yokai Academy. Until then, I'll see you guys next time.